The Council of Mockery, the Grand Assembly Chamber. The massive crystal dome of Chronos 7 space station stretched across the void like a glittering jewel against the starfield. Inside its Grand Assembly Chamber, representatives from 12 of the galaxy's most powerful species gathered around a circular table that seemed to float in space itself. Holographic displays showed star charts, military formations, and detailed reports about species throughout known space. Commander Zeth Kroll clicked his mandibles together in what passed for laughter among the Velthrons. His insectoid frame towered, nearly 3 meters tall, with forearms ending in razor-sharp claws that could slice through reinforced steel. His compound eyes, each containing thousands of individual lenses, focused on the floating document before him. The chitinous armor that covered his body had been earned through countless battles across the Outer Rim territories. Application. For membership from species designation Human Origin Planet Earth, Sol System, Zeth Kroll announced, his voice carrying the harsh buzzing undertone typical of his kind. These creatures request to join the Galactic Defense Alliance and contribute to our military forces. Captain Yara 9, whose crystalline body refracted the chamber's light into rainbow patterns across the walls, resonated with harmonic laughter. Her species, the Luminals from Arcturus Prime, were living gemstones that had evolved consciousness over millions of years. Each thought created musical tones that filled the air around her. "Have you examined their physical specifications, Commander?" Yara 9 chimed, her voice like crystal bells in a gentle breeze. "These humans possess no natural armor, no energy projection capabilities, no enhanced strength or speed beyond basic mammalian standards. They require artificial atmosphere, artificial gravity, and artificial heating systems to survive in space." Admiral Thox slammed his massive fist onto the table, causing vibrations that rippled through the station's superstructure. The Saurian leader stood nearly 4 meters tall, his thick reptilian hide covered in natural armor plates that had turned aside plasma blasts and kinetic projectiles. His people had conquered 14 star systems through pure military might, and his personal battle record included single-handedly destroying an entire enemy battalion. "Weakness," Thox roared, his voice echoing through the chamber like thunder in a canyon. "My hatchlings possess more combat capability than their strongest warriors. What could such fragile beings possibly contribute to our alliance? Myths and legends." Under scrutiny, the holographic displays shifted to show human historical records, artwork, and cultural documents. Images of ancient warriors, legendary heroes, and mythological figures rotated slowly in the air above the assembled council. Zeth Kroll manipulated the controls with 2 of his arms while gesturing dismissively with the other 2. "Observe their cultural mythology. They worship fictional beings with impossible abilities. This Achilles character supposedly could not be harmed except for one small spot on his heel. This Thor individual allegedly controlled lightning and possessed a hammer that could level mountains." "Compensatory fantasies," buzzed Counselor Vex, a hive mind representative whose thousands of constituent organisms spoke in perfect unison. "Species that lack real strength often create elaborate fictional narratives to cope with their inadequacy." Captain Yara 9's crystalline form shifted colors as she accessed the cultural databases. Their King Arthur supposedly pulled a sword from solid stone. Their Hercules completed 12 impossible tasks. Their David defeated a giant with a simple projectile weapon. None of these feats align with known physics or the documented capabilities of human physiology. Admiral Thox's golden eyes narrowed as he studied additional files. "Look at their modern military history. They fight wars using projectile weapons, chemical explosives, and mechanical vehicles. When their technology fails, they become helpless. True warriors carry their weapons within their bodies." The council chamber filled with various forms of alien laughter. The Veltrons clicked their mandibles, the Luminals created discordant musical tones, and the Saurians produced deep rumbling growls that sounded like avalanches. The observer in the shadows, in a shadowed alcove at the edge of the chamber, Dr. Sarah Chen sat quietly in her environmental suit, officially present as a xenobiological observer documenting first contact protocols. Her breathing apparatus hissed softly as she maintained the atmospheric mixture necessary for human survival in the station's environment. The universal translator device clipped to her collar converted the alien languages into English. though she had spent years learning to understand their original forms. Sarah's dark eyes moved carefully from speaker to speaker, her trained scientific mind cataloging every word, every gesture, every assumption they made about her species. Her tablet recorded everything, building a comprehensive database of galactic perceptions about humanity that would prove invaluable for future diplomatic efforts. Commander Zeth Kroll pulled up military assessment reports. Their ground forces require extensive supply lines, medical support, and technological backup systems. Strip away their machines and they become prey animals. Our warriors need no such dependencies. Exactly correct, agreed General Krath 7, a mechanical being whose species had transcended biological limitations millennia ago. Their pilots require life support systems, their soldiers need protective armor, their commanders depend on communication, networks. We have observed their combat recordings. When isolated from support structures, they exhibit panic responses and irrational decision-making. Captain Yara 9 accessed additional cultural files. Their entertainment media consistently portrays scenarios where individuals with no special abilities somehow overcome vastly superior forces. These stories appear designed to provide emotional comfort rather than reflect operational reality. Military analysis and dismissal Admiral Thox activated tactical displays showing comparative combat statistics. Average Saurian warrior can lift 12 times their body weight, survive in vacuum for 30 minutes, and regenerate from wounds that would prove fatal to most species. Average human requires mechanical assistance to lift objects heavier than their own mass. The Velthran soldier possesses 4 independently operating limbs, compound visual systems providing 360-degree awareness, and natural weapons capable of penetrating standard hull materials, added Zeth Kroll. Human soldiers carry external weapons they can lose, wear armor they can remove, and depend on teammates they might not be able to reach. Counselor Vex's 1,000 voices spoke in harmony. During the Omega Nebula conflict, we observed human military units withdraw from positions they could have held with proper determination. They prioritize individual survival over mission completion. Sarah Chen's jaw tightened behind her breathing mask, but she maintained her observer status and said nothing. Her recording device captured every word of their analysis, including the critical gaps in their understanding of human tactical doctrine. Their famous historical battles invariably involved superior numbers, advanced technology, or environmental advantages. Admiral Thox continued. The Battle of Thermopylae, which they celebrate as heroic, was actually a defeat. 300 Spartan warriors delayed a larger force briefly before being overwhelmed. Any competent military force would have achieved total victory in such circumstances. General Krath 7's mechanical voice carried electronic harmonics that suggested amusement. They create monuments celebrating defeats, write songs about lost battles, and tell stories about soldiers who died rather than completed their objectives. Such behavior patterns indicate a species unprepared for real warfare. The vote approaches Commander Zeth Kroll called for preliminary assessment votes from each species representative. The Velthrans voted against human membership based on insufficient combat capability. The Luminals rejected the application due to technological dependency. The Saurians dismissed humanity for lacking natural weapon systems. One by one, each species presented their objections. The mechanical races found humans too biologically fragile. The energy beings considered them too dependent on physical matter. The hive minds thought them too individualistic for proper military coordination. The evidence appears conclusive, Admiral Thox declared. While these humans may possess adequate intelligence for certain support roles, they lack the fundamental requirements for Defense Alliance membership. Our organization exists to protect galactic civilization from existential threats. We need warriors who can function when all technology fails, when supply lines are cut, when victory requires individual determination against impossible odds. Dr. Sarah Chen checked her chronometer and made a note in her tablet. The formal vote would begin in 10 minutes. She had documented enough material to write comprehensive reports for Earth's diplomatic corps, but the outcome seemed predetermined. Captain Yara Nine's crystalline form brightened as she prepared to call for the official vote. Unless there are any final observations or evidence to present, I believe we can proceed to formal consideration of application 7743 human. The chamber fell silent except for the gentle hum of life support systems and the distant vibration of the station's massive rotation. 12 species had reached unanimous agreement about humanity's unsuitability for military alliance membership. Sarah Chen slowly rose from her observer position, her environmental suit's servos whirring softly as she stepped forward into the chamber's main lighting. The truth revealed breaking protocol. I request permission to address the council, Doctor, Sarah Chen said, her voice carrying clearly through the universal translator system. The sudden human voice in the chamber caused every alien representative to turn toward her with various expressions of surprise. Commander Zeth Kroll's compound eyes focused on her small figure. Dr. Chen, your role here is as observer only. The Adai Terran Embassy specifically agreed to non-participation in deliberations. I understand the protocols, Commander, Sarah replied, walking steadily toward the central table. However, I believe this council is about to make a decision based on fundamentally incomplete information. As a xenobiologist who has spent 15 years studying interspecies dynamics, I have evidence that directly contradicts your conclusions. Admiral Thox's massive head tilted skeptically. What evidence could possibly alter the clear military assessments we have reviewed? Sarah activated her portable holographic projector, filling the space above the table with new displays. Real documentation of human performance under actual combat conditions, not the sanitized reports your intelligence services provided. The hidden records. The first hologram showed security footage from a collapsed building on the human colony world, New Brisbane. The timestamp indicated it was recorded during a seismic disaster 3 months earlier. This is Maria Santos, a schoolteacher with no military training, Sarah explained as the figures moved through the display. The building collapsed during her daughter's soccer practice, trapping 15 children under several tons of reinforced concrete. The alien representatives watched as a human female, barely 1.6 meters tall and weighing perhaps 60 kilograms, positioned herself beneath a massive concrete beam. Her face contorted with effort as she lifted the obstruction high enough for the children to crawl to safety. Structural analysis indicates that beam weighed approximately 2,200 kilograms, Sarah continued. According to your assessments, humans can only lift objects equal to their own body weight. Maria Santos lifted 20 times her own mass. Captain Yara Nine's crystalline form shifted colors rapidly. Impossible. The footage must be falsified or the structural analysis incorrect. Verified by 3 independent engineering teams, Sarah replied calmly. But that's just the beginning. Documentation of the impossible. The holographic display shifted to combat footage from the defense of Kepler Station, where human forces had faced off against automated defense systems gone rogue. Sarah highlighted a single human soldier moving through a corridor filled with hostile drones. Sergeant First Class Robert Kim, age 34, standard human physical parameters, she narrated. He had been shot 4 times, suffered a concussion from an explosion, and had been fighting continuously for 18 hours without rest or resupply. The footage showed the soldier systematically destroying 12 combat drones using improvised weapons and tactical positioning that seemed to defy the alien's understanding of human capabilities. His ammunition was exhausted, his armor systems were offline, and he had no communication with friendly forces, Sarah continued. According to your analysis, he should have exhibited panic responses and irrational decision-making. Instead, he eliminated all threats and secured the area. Counselor Vex's 1,000 voices buzzed with confusion. Individual performance anomalies do not indicate species-wide capabilities. You're correct, Sarah agreed. Individual cases don't prove species capability, but systematic documentation across thousands of incidents does. The pattern emerges. Sarah's holographic display expanded to show incident reports from across human space. Mining accidents where ordinary civilians performed incredible rescues. Natural disasters where communities accomplished seemingly impossible survival tasks. Military actions where small units achieved victories against overwhelming odds. The Battle of Thermopylae that you dismissed as a defeat, Sarah said, calling up historical analysis. Those 300 Spartans delayed a force of over 100,000 soldiers for 3 days, killing thousands of enemies while losing relatively few of their own. The tactical delay allowed the rest of Greece to prepare defenses that ultimately won the war. Admiral Thought leaned forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the table. Even if these individual cases are accurate, they represent extreme circumstances. Normal operational parameters would not produce such results. That's exactly the point, Sarah replied. Humans don't operate under normal parameters when something important is at stake. We don't fight for territory or resources or even survival. We fight for each other. The warrior speaks. Sarah touched her communication device, and a new holographic figure appeared in the chamber. The image showed a human male in military uniform, his weathered face bearing scars from countless battles. His eyes held the quiet confidence of someone who had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. General Marcus Rodriguez, commanding, Officer of the Terra Defense Corps Special Operations Division, the hologram announced. I've been monitoring this discussion with great interest. Commander Zeth Kroll's mandibles clicked aggressively. This is highly irregular. The human delegation was specifically limited to observer status. General Rodriguez isn't part of the delegation, Sarah explained. He's been serving with Alliance forces for the past 8 years under the Interspecies Military Exchange Program. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Several alien representatives exchanged glances of confusion and concern. The revelation General Rodriguez's holographic image continued speaking. I've had the honor of serving alongside warriors from every species represented in this chamber. Felthran assault troops, Saurian heavy infantry, luminal energy specialists, and mechanical combat units. I've learned to respect the unique capabilities each species brings to combined operations. He paused, his scarred hands clasped behind his back. But I've also noticed something interesting about how humans perform in joint operations. We consistently exceed predicted performance parameters, especially when our alien comrades are in danger. Admiral Thox's golden eyes narrowed. Explain. During the Proxima Centauri incident last year, my unit was assigned to support a Saurian heavy assault team trapped behind enemy lines, Rodriguez continued. Tactical analysis indicated a 12% probability of successful extraction. The logical choice was to write off the Saurian team and preserve the larger force. The general's expression hardened. We didn't accept those odds. My soldiers fought through 3 kilometers of heavily defended territory, improvised weapons from battlefield debris when our ammunition ran out, and carried wounded Saurian warriors on their backs when your people were too injured to move. Captain Yaranine's crystalline form brightened with recognition. The Proxima extraction. That was your unit? The tactical reports indicated impossible achievement parameters. Impossible for any species fighting for logical reasons, Rodriguez agreed. But humans don't fight for logic. We fight because leaving someone behind is unacceptable. Every one of my soldiers would rather die than abandon a comrade regardless of species. Understanding dawned, Sarah stepped back to the holographic controls. The myths and legends you've been mocking aren't fantasies created by weak minds. They're instruction manuals. They teach human children that ordinary people can accomplish extraordinary things when they refuse to give up. The display showed images of human cultural heroes alongside real footage of contemporary humans performing similar feats. David and Goliath paired with security footage of unarmed civilians stopping armed criminals. Hercules completing impossible tasks matched with emergency responders working miracles during disasters. Every human child grows up hearing these stories, Sarah explained. They learn that size doesn't determine strength, that weapons don't guarantee victory, and that one person can make a difference if they're willing to pay the price. Commander Zeth Kroll studied the comparative data with new understanding. The cultural programming creates psychological frameworks that enable performance beyond normal biological limitations. It's not programming, General Rodriguez corrected. It's inspiration. When a human sees someone in danger, we don't calculate odds or assess resources. We just act. When retreat is logically indicated, we advance anyway if advancing might save lives. The military truth Admiral Thox activated his own tactical displays, showing battle reports from conflicts involving human units. If this analysis is accurate, then our intelligence assessments have been fundamentally flawed. Your intelligence services observed human units retreating from untenable positions and interpreted this as cowardice, Rodriguez explained. What you actually witnessed was tactical discipline. We withdrew from positions we couldn't hold in order to establish defensive lines we could maintain. The general's holographic image gestured to specific battle maps. Human military doctrine isn't based on individual superhuman capability. It's based on ordinary humans becoming extraordinary when they're fighting for something they believe in. Sarah added supporting data. Psychological studies indicate that human performance increases exponentially when protecting others compared to self-preservation scenarios. A human fighting alone might achieve 100% of baseline capability. A human fighting to protect family members can achieve 300% or higher. But that's impossible, protested General Krath 7. Biological systems have fixed operational parameters. Not when those systems are driven by something stronger than survival instinct, Rodriguez replied. Humans will literally fight until their bodies cease to function if stopping means someone else gets hurt. The vote reconsidered. Commander Zeth Kroll reviewed the new data streaming across his displays. Combat effectiveness ratings, psychological profiles, and tactical assessments all painted a completely different picture of human military capability than the initial reports had suggested. This information significantly alters our evaluation criteria, he admitted, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. If human units consistently exceed predicted performance parameters under actual combat conditions, then theoretical limitations become irrelevant. Captain Yara 9's crystalline harmonic shifted to contemplative tones. Their technological dependency may actually represent tactical flexibility rather than weakness. A species that can fight effectively with or without their equipment possesses adaptability advantages. Admiral Thox's expression showed grudging respect. I have personally witnessed Saurian warriors perform beyond their normal capabilities when defending their clutchmates. If humans experience this enhancement whenever they fight alongside allies, every mission becomes a family protection scenario, Rodriguez confirmed. From our perspective, every member of an allied unit is someone worth dying for. The final testimony. Sarah activated one final holographic display. General Rodriguez, would you please share the Kepler Station full tactical report? The display showed a detailed breakdown of the space station defense where human forces had fought alongside multiple alien species against overwhelming odds. The tactical analysis revealed something remarkable. Human casualties were 40% below projected levels, Rodriguez reported. Alien ally casualties were 60% below projected levels. Total mission success exceeded 95% probability markers. How is that possible? Demanded Counselor Vex. Because every human soldier on that station was willing to take injuries that would normally force retreat in order to keep their alien teammates safe, Rodriguez explained. We absorbed damage that would have been distributed across the entire force, allowing allied units to maintain combat effectiveness. Admiral Thox rose slowly from his position, his massive frame towering over the assembly table. Are you saying that humans deliberately accept higher casualty rates to protect allied forces? We don't accept them, Rodriguez corrected. We prefer them. Every wound a human takes is a wound that doesn't hit a comrade. Every risk we absorb is a risk our allies don't have to face. The decision. The chamber fell silent as the assembled representatives processed the implications of everything they had learned. The holographic displays continued showing real-time data feeds from human military units currently serving throughout Alliance space. Commander Zeth Kroll was the first to speak. Dr. Chen, General Rodriguez, you have presented evidence that fundamentally challenges our initial assessment. The question before this council is no longer whether humans possess adequate military capability. He paused, his compound eyes reflecting the swirling data displays. The question is whether the Galactic Defense Alliance can afford to operate without the unique advantages that human forces would provide. Captain Yara 9's crystalline form resonated with harmonic agreement. A species that fights harder for their allies than for themselves represents a strategic asset unlike anything in our current force structure. One by one, the alien representatives reconsidered their positions. The evidence was overwhelming, documented and verified through multiple independent sources. Admiral Thox called for the formal vote. All those in favor of accepting humanity's application for full membership in the Galactic Defense Alliance? Every representative voted in favor. As the session concluded, Dr. Sarah Chen gathered her equipment with quiet satisfaction. General A. Rodriguez's hologram flickered out after formal congratulations from the alien commanders. Commander Zeth Kroll approached her as the other representatives filed out of the chamber. Dr. Chen, one final question. How many humans are already serving with Alliance forces under classified assignments? Sarah smiled behind her breathing mask. Commander, that's classified information. But I think you're going to be very surprised when you review your personnel files more carefully. The truth was, humans had been proving themselves worthy of the Alliance for years. They just hadn't been recognized for what they truly were. Warriors who fought not because they were strongest, but because they cared most about those fighting beside them. In the end, that made all the difference.